You can't even do housework properly, so you're no longer of any use to me.
I agree. It's time to fire this housekeeper.
Great. I can finally say goodbye to this. Oh,
My husband and mother-in-law wheeled me in a wheelchair, and my daughter cursed at me without care. In front of me are the three of them down at me with a wry smile. Are they waiting for my reaction? If you're going to go that far, I will you any mercy either. You'll see. My name is Anna Taylor, 30 years old. I am a freelance writer, working from home and a housewife. I got married 2 years ago and now live with my husband, daughter, and mother-in-law. My husband, Jared, is 5 years older than me. I met him 3 years ago through an app that I started with a friend. Jared and I both like watching movies. We had a lot in common and we exchanged numbers right away. He was a mature man with a smart appearance. I was attracted to him and we started dating. 6 months later, he proposed to me and we decided on our wedding in no time. However, there was one problem we had with in order to get married. That was the existence of Maya. Maya and I are not related. She is the daughter of Jared's ex-wife, and she was already 10 years old when we got married. She is now a junior high school student. I still feel a big gap between us. I can understand why it's difficult of me as her mother, but still, she hates me so much. Until recently, she has ignored me. I tried to talk to her. Now, she makes fun of me without, Just the other day, I was walking down the street when I saw a man with a sign that read, "Will work for food." It made me think about how fortunate I am to have a job and a home. So I stopped and gave him some money. While I was preparing dinner, Maine finished her after-school activities. I called out to her to ask her about it, but she didn't respond. I was thinking of it as her ignoring usual when she threw something at. I looked at what had fallen and saw that it was a bag containing Maine's gym clothes. She glared at me as I picked it up. I spoke to Maine with a puzzled look on my face.
I'm pretty sure you have another set of clothes. Even if I wash them today, they won by tomorrow. Can you take the other set with you?
huh. Why are you telling me what to say? Wash them.
Even if I start washing it now, it by tomorrow. That's why.
Shut up! I told you to do it, so shut up and you're useless. If it's not ready by tomorrow morning, tell Dad and Grandma. Good luck with that.
She ran up the stairs and went to her. She would not take anything I say to. I had no choice but to take her gym to the laundromat. While I was putting them in the dryer, I was struck by an indescribable feeling of emptiness. I had married Jared knowing that, never be attached to me. But I never imagined that I would learn so much. Maya, when are you going to treat me normally? Even though I can't be your mother, at least we can have a normal conversation. Well, I guess I shouldn't rush it. I have to work harder. Someday, we will understand each other. I told myself that and barely kept up. I was the one who decided to get marked. I must not give up in the middle of the process. I spent every day with that thought in mind. Actually, besides Maine, I don't have any other problems. That is my mother-in-law. Like Maine, my mother-in-law is also unhappy with me. She has disliked me since the beginning of our marriage. On this day, when I returned from the laundromat, my mother-in-law was waiting for me at the entrance.
Hey, Anna, where the hell have you been? Where's dinner?
I'm sorry. The side dish is ready, so I'll prep rest right away.
Where have you been wandering around this hour? You weren't out playing around, were?
No, I wasn't. Maine asked me to take her gym clothes to the laundromat.
Is it Maine's fault? You really like to blame others, don't you?
I didn't mean it that way.
Just get the food ready. Jared will be home soon. Maya is probably hungry too.
Yes, Ma, I am. 11, get it ready, right?
Whenever my mother-in-law doesn't do something, even a little, she blames me. She would blame me for anything, little things that were not my fault. When I was a newlywed, this attitude of feeling sorry for myself, compared to before, things are a little better now. However, the damage is still done. What hurt me the most was being compared to my husband's ex-wife. Her name was Michelle, apparently. My mother-in-law constantly compares me to her daughter, making me feel inferior.
Michelle could have done it better. She was a kind and caring wife. I wish Michelle would come back.
etc. According to Jared, his ex-wife's attitude towards their divorce. I know that my mother-in-law loves me very much. But why does she praise the ex-wife so much? Who caused the divorce? If someone hurt her beloved son, I would be surprised if she didn't like them. However, I don't have the luxury of thinking about such things. How will I get around in this house on? How will I deal with my mother in Maine? I have to think about these things and act accordingly every day. It is very difficult and burdensome. Even so, I was determined to do the sake of my beloved husband. I did not complain to my husband, mother-in-law, or daughter-in-law. How can we get to know each other better? On this day, I explained the series and asked him before going to bed.
Jared, are you listening to me? Today, I was scolded by your mother again.
I'm listening. I'm listening. I always tell you not to worry about. I've told you, just leave them alone. Maine is a teenager and my mom is just like that sometimes.
That's not going to happen. We are going to live together from. How can we live together and get along? Jared, you should think about that too.
Without taking his eyes off the road, he replied in an uninterested tone.
Please, I'm serious here. Asking for. I can understand they don't like me, mother compares me to Michelle.
What, Michelle?
She says that Michelle was a better me. She's always telling me that you should put yourself in my shoes bit. I really want to have a good relationship with my mother-in-law.
Well, even if you say so, I'm sure it will turn out just fine. Time will tell.
That's just nonsense.
Nonsense? I'm very serious. All you have to do is make an effort, like my mother in Maine. Think about it and just do your best.
My husband patted me on the shoulder goodnight and pulled the covers on. I wondered if he was really asleep, was just pretending. No matter how much I called out to never responded. The next day, while I was preparing breakfast, Maya came down from her room. I hand her the gym clothes, neatly bagged, as she prepares for school.
Here's your edit, Maine. This is the gym clothes you asked me for yesterday. Maya, are you listening to me? These are from yesterday.
I can hear you. I'm ignoring you on purpose. Don't understand?
Ignore me? You could at least talk to me a little.
You want me to say thank you or something.
Huh?
Maine sighed heavily and took the glass from my hands. Then she said in an irritated tone,
You're so annoying every time. You shouldn't have married Dad in that place.
Oh, I see. Maine, that's too much.
So annoying! Why you make me so irritated from morning? You're really making me sick.
She didn't touch the breakfast I had prepared, but ate the bread my mother-in-law had bought for herself. Then she thanked her grandma for the went off to school. I went to the door to see her off. Of course, she didn't even give me a reply. I had no choice. I should eat the breakfast she left. But when I went to the living room, the dishes that should have been were gone. The dishes I had made were dumped in the sink. What is this? Why? Then I heard a small giggle from behind me. There was my mother-in-law with a smile on her face.
No way. Did you do this?
Yes, because it looked so bad. Maine didn't seem to want it, so I threw it away for her.
How can you be so terrible? Why did you do this?
Terrible. It's your fault that you can only see bad food. It's all your fault.
Why not?
No matter what I said back, my mother-in-law paid back double with her words. She kept attacking me one-sidedly. To top it all off, she followed me grocery store. A few hours later, the worst happened. I was on my way home after finishing the shopping ordered by my mother-in-law. That was when I was involved in and I was taken to the hospital by ambulance. My right leg was left paralyzed. It became difficult for me to walk. The doctor told me that I would have in a wheelchair for a while. Although my life was not in serious danger, I was hospitalized for a week. The hospital must have contacted Mike. Soon after, my husband and mother-in-law came to visit me in the hospital room. I was sitting in my wheelchair, and all of them were lined up in front of me. Did they come to see me because they worried? I was delighted and thanked them.
All of you are here. Thank you so much for coming.
Is your leg going to heal?
My husband asked anxiously. I shook my head and answered without a smile.
The doctor said it might be better now, but that it would be difficult to heal completely. It will be a little while before I on my own.
I see. Then I guess I don't have a choice.
A choice?
Thank you for everything, Anna.
What, Jared?
My husband looks down at me and gives smile. I was puzzled, not understanding what he meant by thank you. My husband, perhaps sensing something, started talking.
Well, it was a short time, but I'm glad I married you. You did the housework without complaint. You also gave us a lot of money to...
What are you talking about?
Their mood had clearly changed. The corners of their mouths are up, sensing something frightening. It was that kind of expression. When I shrunk before them, my mother-in-law and Maine. At that moment, the orcs opened their mouths.
You can't even do housework properly, so I guess you're no longer of any use to me.
I agree. It's time to fire this house, right?
I can finally say goodbye to this. Oh,
My husband and mother-in-law wheeled me in a wheelchair, and my daughter cursed at me without care. I was so shocked that my body stiffened, my legs trembled. My husband, looking down at me, found his final words.
I married you and kept our marriage also that you could take care of the house. In other words, you are no longer just another person to me now that you are in a wheelchair.
Oh no, what happened?
Divorce is what it is. Thank you for being my housekeeper time. As soon as you get out of the hospital, your stuff will be there waiting for you. And when you get out of our house, we'll have a big party to celebrate.
My husband took the divorce papers bag and slammed them down in front, his part already filled in. Without waiting for my reply, they entered the hospital room. The door to the room closed, and their footsteps and laughter faded. At that moment, my heart was already filled with anger towards them. He never liked me from the beginning. He married me and used me to take K-daughter. This is unforgivable. All three of them. I will never forgive them. I signed the divorce papers right then and there and called my mother. I explained the situation and asked submit the signed divorce papers to office. A few days later, I was safely discharged from the hospital and headed for my home. I asked my parents to tell me that my husband had filed for divorce and to give me my belongings. I returned straight to my parents. I would never see them again. I felt somewhat relieved and decided a new life. 5 years later, a familiar name, Jared, appeared on. I had forgotten to block his number. I did not answer the call and deleted his information from my phone. The next day, we visited our former family's shower parents' house. When they saw me, they knelt down or ground. I was puzzled and wondered what was when Jared suddenly looked up and
Help us,
What do you mean, so out of the blue?
please, Anna. You are the only one I can rely on.
What is this about?
I need you to lend us some money. Otherwise, we can't make a living.
if I sum up his words, this is what, for a while after I left, they were comfortable life. But when Maine entered a private high school, their finances had become more difficult. The reason was that Maine had been stolen from the house to buy the things she needed. Not only that, Jared's mother was also using her salary to indulge in beauty treatments and luxury brand goods. When their savings ran out, they began to borrow money. They were unable to repay their debts, so they were forced into a situation where they couldn't borrow any more money. The biggest issue right now was Maya's tuition. She couldn't keep up her grades, so apparently have to pay high fees to in school. They tried for a scholarship, but he was so bad that she was on the verge of being expelled from school. Jared rubbed his head, tears streaming down his face as he finished telling what had happened.
Please, please. It's just as I said. You must have made a lot of money. So I'm begging you. Please lend us some money, even if a little.
His mother and Maine followed behind them. I was deeply disgusted by them. 5 years ago, they kicked me out of my house after bullying me every day. Then they come back like nothing has happened when they're in need of more. I knew that I was still being used convenience. I was even getting angry. The next thing I knew, I had turned on the faucet at the front door and was spraying water at them.
What the hell are you doing, you bitch?
Again, all three of them screaming and yelling.
Hey, what are you doing? It's so cold.
Don't get carried away, you old hag. We're relying on you and begging you us.
This is obviously not the way to ask for help. Once their true nature was exposed, out my true feelings, which I had keeping in my heart all this time.
Relying on me? I never asked you to rely on me. You used me for your own convenience? You wanted me to help you out because of trouble? That's bullshit. How much more do you have to mock me?
What is the difference between a web designer and a web developer? How dare you talk to me like that? We're in so much trouble.
I don't care how much trouble you G or whether you're starving to death. I don't give a shit. Rather, I'm glad you're in trouble. This is what you deserve. I will never help you in a million. Why don't you guys just lick each one wounds and suffer for the rest of you?
After I finished spraying water on them, I slammed the door as hard as I could. I locked the front door and physically them off. For a while after that, they were still screaming in front of the house. A neighbor, who couldn't stand the noise, called the police. They were taken away by the police name of nuisance. The rumor that they had gotten into trouble with the police spread throughout the neighborhood. Eventually, the story reached Jared's company. Unable to bear the side-eyeing from his colleagues, he resigned voluntarily. As a result, they were unable to pay school fees, and she had to drop out of high school. Now, each of the three is working to their debts. They seem to be cooperating with each other, but when they meet, they always blame each other for their problems. The family relationship is deteriorating by day. From my point of view, this is all four. I can only say that they deserved it. I, on the other hand, am still working from home while being taken care of by my wife. My leg has become much more mobile, now going to rehabilitation to make recovery. I cannot thank my parents enough for accepting me back after my divorce. From now on, I'm going to enjoy life to the fullest for my father, mother, and sister.